Hello, everyone. This is an introduction into the puzzle called Sudokuvania, Digits of Despair, and it's by Skeptical Mario. It's rated very hard, and I would consider that this is beyond very hard. This is essentially, it's really crazy. You have essentially, from what's shown, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 grids. There may be more on this. And each one of these grids is going to highlight essentially different rules. But each of them is very difficult. So you will find the learned rules as you go along in this solve of Sudokuvania. This took me personally about 20, it's a little bit more than 20 hours. There's basically double digit videos on this. So I am going to be posting one per day, and eventually we'll get through a solve. Maybe. We'll see. Actually, no, there will be. There will be a solve. But the question is, when will that solve be? There are double digit videos on this. So it's going to take at least 10 days for you to go through every single one of these videos if you want to watch me struggle through. There will be trials and tribulations. I will make mistakes along this way. I will have to restart and actually well, you'll see. You'll see what happens later on. But this was a journey in itself, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of frustration too. So if you don't have the time to spend trying to solve this puzzle, you can watch my videos instead and go through the trials and tribulations watching me struggle through this puzzle. Some things that are helpful. There are the learned rules here. So the learned rules will change things in this green box, and actually clicking on each grid will also change things in this box. This is not as much important. So the learned rules only apply once you clear out the area for the learned rules. And it will go into greater detail in this green box here. I'm not scrolling down so that you don't have any how do you say it? Any spoilers. So you start obviously in this. Okay, so this is grid 0, designated by the front grid. So this is what it is an example of what it's going to be, right? So if we click learned rules here, how to play by the rules, this changes here, obviously, right? And if you click on the grid, it will change what's actually shown here, right? So let's actually enter in what we know for certain. So we have every 100 years, the mysterious castle of Sudokuvania appears in the countryside. Legend has it that it contains the secret of Sudoku. Gathering the last few given digits in the area, you solemnly approach the boxy fortress, determined to discover the secret and share it with your favorite people. Yeah, and I would suggest definitely playing this on a desktop browser. I think it would be kind of painful to do on like a tablet or on a phone, definitely. For the best experience, open the settings menu, blah, blah, blah. Follow these instructions. I think I have this turned on for my settings. Large puzzle, experimental. I do have large puzzle UI turned on. Do I have draw arrows above lines? Visual. Draw arrows above line. I have it off, actually. Oh, maybe that would have helped. I did make an error related to being unable to see certain things. And visual disable emoji replacement. I don't know what that is. I didn't do that. Anyways, those are the suggested settings that they have. And the settings you can get by clicking on the sort of wheelwork sign, which is just below the green box here. And you'll get this pop-up. You get the visuals here. You'll get the experimental here. And this will tell you what he would recommend, what Skeptical Mario recommends for the settings. Here are the rules. You have Gatai Sudoku, where in each square grid, enter digits from 1 to n into each row, column, and region, where n is the length of each side of the grid, and you cannot have repeats within that grid. That's pretty important. We also have dynamic fog, where the map is covered with fog. Placing correct digits may reveal more clues or rules. Clues may only be used if their associated rule is uncovered in the Learned Rules panel here in the upper left corner. We also have dynamic rules, where selecting cells can change the rules displayed in this panel. So again, right, you can click here and that would show you more information about the rules. Scroll down to see them. To avoid spoilers, try not to read the rules when a cell covered by fog is selected. Also, select a cell in the map to learn more about its grid, and to get a link to its boss puzzle, if applicable. Unfortunately, the links do not seem to be working right now, so that is a slight problem. I had to manually type them in after a while. For a while, the links were actually working, but then they stopped working, and I don't know why. Maybe hopefully Skeptical Mario can fix that. Also, select a rule in the Learned Rules panel for more details, right? And how to play by the rules. In each Sudoku, we have in each n by n grid, enter a digit from 1 to 9 to each cell without repeating. Okay, that's not correct. In each n by n grid, it could be digits from 1 through 9, or it could be digits from 1 through n. I think in actually grid 0, it's specifically 1 through 6 into each cell without repeating in a row, column, or region. Most grids regions are 3 by 3 boxes. Digits can repeat in a row or column as long as they are in separate grids. We also have dynamic fog, where entering the correct digit in a cell may clear some fog. No guessing is required. We also have learning rules, where clues have no meaning until the associated rule is uncovered from the fog. And then you select a rule in the then that would basically mean that it shows up in this Learned Rules panel here. So the rules do not apply until they show up in this Learned Rules panel. And then you can click on the rule in this panel for more information, and you'll get more information in this green box here. You also have boss puzzles. So again, for every grid in this puzzle, except for actually one, you will have a boss puzzle associated with it. And when you uncover a boss cell, click the link to the associated boss puzzle below. You must have a cell in its grid selected, and solving the boss puzzle will give the digit to be placed in the boss cell. Unfortunately, as I said before, the links do not work. I had to manually type them in from reading essentially what was in the green box. But the boss puzzles, a lot of them actually are very challenging in themselves. So those will take some time also. So, as I said, it took me over 20 hours. You'll have over 20 hours of videos here. There are double-digit videos here. And yeah, if you don't have a lot of time, I would not start this because you might be like questioning yourself later on. You would have to have, I would set aside at least 20 hours, even if you're a good Sudoku solver, to solve this. And, or not set aside, but basically figure that you're going to have to take 20 hours essentially of solving to solve this completely. What else? Outside the map, cells outside of any grid do not need to contain any digit, or they may contain the digit 0 as necessitated by nearby clues. All clues must be correct, even those outside the map. And the map is this black area here. And so let's take an example of what happens when we click on a region. This is grid 0. So it changed here, right? It says grid 0, designated by front gate. The castle of Sudokuvania stands before you. Sudoku, in this 6x6 grid, so we know there's a 6x6 grid, enter the digits from 1 to 6 into each row, column, and 2x3 box without repeats in any of those row, columns, or boxes. So that's an example of how it's going to dynamically change. And the rules will also change along as if you click on certain areas. And this is an introduction into how Sudokuvania is going to be solved. I will also go over this in the first video that I post, the first solving video that I post. But this is just an introduction into what you can expect if you want to try to solve this. Or sort of it sort of also sets the expectations for what my future videos of this Sudokuvania solve are going to be. And it's very hairy. It's very difficult. There are definitely a lot of very hard puzzles within this puzzle. And there's also a lot of very hard boss puzzles within these that are referenced in these puzzles. So that's why I say figure that you have to spend probably about 20 hours to solve this, at least. To solve this puzzle, because this first, as I showed, there's at least 8 grids that we can see, 8 9x9 grids. There may be more. There's obviously grid 0, and there's other stuff that's outside grids. So be prepared for that if you want to try to solve it. And yeah, it's actually a lot of fun. But at the same time, it can be frustrating at times, particularly if you make a mistake, which I do make quite a decent amount of mistakes. So be prepared for that if you watch my solve. What else? Yeah, I mean, I guess this is just more sort of setting expectations and trying to basically let you know if this sort of puzzle would be right for you to try to solve, or if you would rather just try to watch the video. Again, there's over 20 hours worth of videos, and there's double-digit videos here. So, be warned about that. It's definitely a very fun journey, and there's a lot of very cool logic in here, but it can be frustrating. Even it could be probably frustrating watching too. Watching me like make mistakes and maybe not see certain things. But, you know, it's up to you. If you guys want to watch it, you know, feel free. If you guys want to try it out, feel free. Again, as I said, one other thing. If you want to zoom in, You can zoom in by using the scroll button on your mouse. I think if you have a tablet or a phone, you can pinch or uh, expand, essentially. I think the opposite of pinch. Pinch decreases things. So you can zoom in and zoom out. And one thing I did not know, actually, until I think one of my last videos, was when you zoom in and zoom out using the scroll wheel on your mouse. Actually, can you use... I don't know if you can use... No, you can't use page up or page down. I don't know how else you can scroll, actually. But if you have a scroll mouse, you can scroll, and it will zoom in and zoom out based on where your mouse cursor is, not where you place the box. So it scrolls based off where your mouse cursor is. So you can zoom in and you can zoom back out based off where the mouse is, and that will change where it will zoom in and zoom out from, right? So this will hopefully help you navigate things. I had to manually reset a lot because I didn't understand how that worked. So you can zoom in here, you can zoom out this way, and that will zoom out that way. Or you can zoom in here. You could zoom out a little here, you could zoom out a little this way. And that, by moving the mouse, it allows you to zoom in and zoom out into certain areas, right? So zoom in zooms in from this area, zooming in from the mouse cursor, and we can zoom out similarly, right? So that will zoom out with this as the center of the zoom, right? So this mouse cursor is the center of the zoom, so it zooms in and zooms out that way, and you can you can change where you go based off where you have the zoom. So hopefully this will save you a lot of headache, because I had to reset, or not reset, but basically reload my pages a lot because I didn't understand how the zoom in and the zoom out worked. That's very important, actually, because that hopefully will save you some time. Once you start reloading, oh my god, it takes a while to load. It takes sometimes, like, I think it took me like at least 30 seconds a couple times. And that's when it's like, I think you're nearing solving most of the puzzle. But yeah, zoom in and zoom out, zooms in on where the cursor, zooms in and zooms out on where the cursor is. So hopefully that'll help you a decent amount without reloading. So that'll let you essentially choose where you zoom in and where you zoom out, right? And I think you have to be on you have to be on the gray area to zoom in and zoom out. It does, yeah, if you're outside the gray area, I'm trying to zoom out right now or zoom in, it doesn't work. So you have to be in the gray area to zoom out or zoom in. What else? This area is used to fill out actually information. So I would suggest using this area here. Okay, let's hide that. I would suggest using these boxes. These boxes. I can't get it. These boxes to fill out information as you go through the puzzle. I didn't realize that that's what it was used for, but that's what it is used for. So, and the other ones will show you essentially when you solve certain hidden puzzles or we solve certain grids. Though there was actually a bug in one of the hidden puzzles. It showed that I actually solved it when I didn't, which is kind of weird. But anyways, is there anything else that I want to say? Yeah, one thing I would say is if you do get to near the end, there's one final thing you need to do, try to think outside the box when you're doing that. That's the only hint I will give. I was kind of confused for a while about how to finish the puzzle, and then I thought outside the box, and that helped me figure out what it was. So that's the only hint I will give. It's really it's way down the line. You're probably gonna forget it, but hopefully, if you are stuck, come back to this video. If you're near the end, I would say actually to solve the final thing. If you think you solved everything, but you have one thing that's unchecked, then come back to the starting video and basically use the hint that you have to think outside the box to solve the final puzzle of Sudokuvania. Anyways, whatever you choose to do, I hope you have a good time, whether it's watching my videos, whether it's trying to solve it yourself. And again, remember to set aside a good chunk of time, or not set aside, expect this to take a good chunk of time to solve. So you're not going to be able to do it in one setting. This is not going to happen. There's too many puzzles. It's too difficult to do that. And yeah, hopefully you have a good time whichever way you approach it. And I'll see you next time with the start of the first video of solving Sudokuvania. Take care.